the whispers of war in the vast emptiness of space. The Meridian Empire's long-range reconnaissance vessel drifted silently at the edge of the SA system. Captain Vexor, his crystalline skin refracting the dim starlight, studied the holographic display of the third planet with 6 golden eyes. Earth, a beautiful blue marble suspended in space, teeming with life and resources primitive. He muttered, manipulating the display to in on the scattered satellites and basic space stations orbiting the planet. There, technological development suggests early space-age civilization. No quantum signatures, no antimatter reactors, not even basic gravity manipulation. His second-in-command, Lieutenant KL, approached with a data crystal. The Emperor will be pleased the planet's resources alone would fuel our expansion for centuries and the indigenous species. She paused, bringing up images of human cities. They show promise as potential servants. What the Meridians couldn't detect, hidden beneath the surface of human civilization, was the truth in a deep underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains. Dr. Sarahan stood before a wall of quantum-encrypted displays, monitoring the alien vessel's every movement. The facility, known only to a select few as Project Sentinel, represented humanity's best-kept secret. "They've taken the bait," she announced to the assembled military leaders. "Our primitive facade is holding. The quantum dampeners are masking our true technological signature perfectly." General Marcus Rodriguez, a veteran of Earth's hidden Space Force, nodded grimly. "How long until their main fleet arrives?" Sarah manipulated the holographic display, showing projected trajectories based on data collected from the dormant monitoring systems humanity had scattered throughout the galaxy decades ago. 3 months maximum. They're already mobilizing their invasion force. The truth about humanity's technological advancement was Earth's greatest secret for over 50 years, since the first alien probe crashed in the GOI desert. Humanity had been preparing. That crash site had yielded more than just advanced technology. It had provided a warning. The galaxy was not a peaceful place, and Earth lay in the path of an expanding empire rather than announce their discoveries to the world. A coalition of global powers had made an unprecedented decision. Earth would appear to develop, normally maintaining the facade of a young civilization, taking its first steps into space. Meanwhile, beneath the surface, humanity would prepare. The crashed probe had contained a quantum computer core that revolutionized human understanding of physics reverse engineering. Its technology had led to breakthroughs in propulsion, energy generation, and weapon systems. But humanity hadn't stopped there. They had improved upon the alien designs, creating hybrid technologies that merged human ingenuity with alien advancement. "Show me the latest tests of the quantum mesh defense system." Sarah requested. The display shifted to show a massive network of satellites invisible to conventional sensors that encircled the Earth. Each node contained technology that the Meridians would consider impossible for humans to possess. The mesh is operating at 98% efficiency. Her assistant reported the quantum entanglement grid is stable and the AI defense systems are fully integrated. "We can have the entire network online in less than 3 minutes. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The Meridians, like many advanced civilizations, had become complacent in their technological superiority. They relied on their advanced sensors and weapons, never considering that a primitive species might have found ways to bypass them entirely. "Begin Phase 2, she ordered. "Activate the Deep Space Monitoring Network. I want to know every move their fleet makes as they approach and contact the Artemis base on the far side of the moon. Tell them to begin manufacturing additional quantum torpedoes." As the orders went out, Sarah thought about the irony of the situation. The Meridians believed they were about to conquer a helpless world. Instead, they were about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating humanity. Earth's apparent weakness was its greatest strength and illusion, crafted over decades of patient preparation. The game of deception was about to enter its final phase, and humanity was ready. They had spent 50 years preparing for this moment, building technologies that even the Meridians couldn't imagine. The coming conflict would would reshape the balance of power in the galaxy, but not in the way the Meridian Empire expected. In the depths of space, Captain Vexor's ship began its journey back to the Empire, carrying its report of an easily conquered world behind it. Earth's quantum sensors tracked its every move, while beneath the surface, humanity's real fleet waited in hidden bases, crews trained and ready for the coming storm. The whispers of war were growing louder, but only humanity knew the true sound of the approaching thunder. Continued in Part 2, First Contact Deception. The Meridian diplomatic vessel descended through Earth's atmosphere with calculated grandeur, its crystalline hull catching the sunlight in a deliberate display of technological superiority. Ambassador Trello stood at the command center, his iridescent scales gleaming with anticipation as they approached the designated landing site outside the United Nations headquarters in New York. Remember, he addressed his crew. We must maintain the pretense of peaceful contact. Let these primitives believe they have a choice in their submission to the Empire on the ground. Dr. Sarah Chen watched the approach from within a conventional military command center, the public one, not the quantum shielded facility deep beneath the Rockies. She wore the uniform of a standard military advisor, nothing that would hint at her true role as humanity's chief defense strategist. The landing was a spectacle designed to awe humanity. The Meridian ship touched down with perfect precision, its energy field creating a subtle light show that drew jests from the assembled crowd as the ambassador emerged, flanked by his guards. Sarah studied their equipment with careful eyes. Every piece of their technology was being scanned by hidden sensors, adding to Earth's already substantial database of Meridian capabilities. Welcome to Earth. The UN Secretary-General greeted them, following the carefully rehearsed protocol. We are honored by your presence. Ambassador Trello's translator converted his resonant speech into human languages. The Meridian Empire extends its greetings to your world. We have watched your development with great interest and believe the time has come to welcome you into the galactic community. The diplomatic dance began. Over the next several weeks, the Meridians presented themselves as benevolent mentors, offering glimpses of advanced technology while carefully assessing Earth's capabilities. They visited major cities, met with world leaders, and conducted what they believed were thorough scans of human military installations. What they saw satisfied their preconceptions. A planet with rudimentary spaceflight, nuclear fishing power, and primitive AI systems, exactly what their initial scans had suggested. The humans appeared appropriately awed by Meridian technology, asking questions that confirmed their technological naivety. But beneath the surface, Earth was far from naive in secure facilities around the world. Quantum computers analyzed every piece of data gathered from the Meridian delegation. Their weapons, their shields, their communication systems, all were being compared against humans' own advanced systems, refined through decades of secret development. During a private moment in her secure office, Sarah received a coded transmission from one of her hidden research teams. The analysis of their shield harmonics is complete. The message read, "Our quantum torpedoes can bypass them with 99.8% efficiency. Their technology hasn't advanced significantly beyond what we learned from the crashed probe. The Meridians' arrogance were working in humanity's favor. They were so convinced of their superiority that they never thought to look deeper, never considered that the humans might be hiding their true capabilities. Their scans, advanced as they were, looked for known signs of technological development, signs that humanity had carefully learned to mask." Ambassador Trell, KNX, grew increasingly confident in his reports to the Empire. These humans are perfectly positioned for conquest. He wrote, their technology is primitive, but their infrastructure is well developed. They will make excellent additions to the Empire once properly subjugated. But he wasn't completely without suspicion. During a tour of the experimental human space station, something caught his attention. Your progress in artificial gravity is impressive for your level of development, he commented to Sarah, who had been assigned as his guide. We've been fortunate in our research, she replied smoothly. though it's nothing compared to your own capabilities. The ambassador's stick's eyes narrowed slightly indeed, yet I noticed Subal variations in the gravitational field that seemed unusual for such early technology. Sarah maintained her calm demeanor, but internally, she made a note. The ambassador was more perceptive than they, had anticipated the gravitational irregularities were actually from the quantum stabilizers hidden within the station's structure. Technology far beyond what Earth was supposed to possess. Our scientists are still refining the system. She explained it's not as stable as we'd like. The ambassador seemed to accept this, but Sarah knew they'd need to be more careful. The deception had to be maintained for just a few more weeks until the Meridian Empire committed their invasion fleet. Everything hinged on the element of surprise in the hidden facility beneath the Rockies. Preparation continued. The quantum mesh defense system was fully operational, disguised as simple communication satellites. The fleet of advanced warships waited in underground bases and lunar facilities. Their crews training constantly, the automated drone swarms were ready for deployment. Their quantum AI systems far more sophisticated than anything the Meridians possessed, as Sarah watched the ambassador's ship depart Earth for another report to his superiors. She knew the next phase would begin soon. The Meridians would abandon their diplomatic pretense and launch their invasion, confident in their superior numbers and technology, and humanity would be ready. The GF final preparation sequences she ordered through secure channels. The deception won't hold much longer. The pieces were in place. The greatest surprise in galactic history was about to unfold, and only humanity knew what was coming. Continued in Part 3, the storm breaks. The Meridian invasion fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, 10,000 ships strong, their crystalline hulls creating a spectacular-like show against the backdrop of space. Admiral Venner stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Pride of Empire, watching as Earth grew larger in their view. Screens begin the attack sequence, he commanded. Show these primitives the true might of the Meridian Empire. The first wave of Meridian ships moved into position, their weapon systems charging on their sensors. Earth's defenses appeared pathetically inadequate. A handful of primitive satellites, a few small space stations, and some rudimentary orbital defense platforms in her command center, deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Dr. Sarah Chen watched the Meridian fleet's approach on quantum-enhanced displays around her. The command staff worked with call efficiency, their years of training evident in their focused demeanor. They're deploying exactly as our simulations predicted. She noted time to show them what humanity is really capable of. She gave a slight nod to General Rodriguez execute Operation Revelation. The general pressed his palm against a quantum-secured console. Authentication confirmed deploying quantum mesh defense grid across Earth orbit. Thousands of seemingly innocent satellites suddenly transformed. The quantum camouflage that had hidden their true nature dissolved, revealing advanced weapon platforms and defense systems. The primitive orbital stations shimmered and changed their outer shells, falling away to reveal state-of-the-art battle stations. Admiral Ventor's first indication that something was wrong, when his sensors suddenly screened warnings where moments before they had detected only primitive technology. Now they were registering energy signatures that should have been impossible for humans to achieve. Impossible. He breathed, watching, as the holographic display updated with thousands of new threats. Their technology, it can't be. Before he could complete his thought, the first wave of Earth's counterattack began. The quantum mesh defense grid activated, creating an interlocking network of energy fields that disrupted Meridian targeting systems from the dark side of the moon. Humanity's hidden fleet emerged, sleek angular vessels that bore little resemblance to their public space program ships. All ships battle formations, Venner ordered, but the humans weren't fighting. According to any conventional tactics, he recognized, their vessels moved in patterns that seemed chaotic, but were actually coordinated by quantum AI systems far more advanced than Meridian combat computers. The first Salvos from Earth's defense grid struck with devastating precision quantum torpedoes phased through Meridian shields as if they didn't exist. Their warheads detonating with perfectly calculated force swarms of autonomous drones, each powered by a miniature quantum core, overwhelmed Meridian point defense systems in the command center. Sarah watched as the battle unfolded according to plans, decades in the making, deploy the AMIS protocol she ordered across the solar system, hidden weapons platforms activated automated factories. On Mercury, burst from beneath the planet's surface, launching waves of solar-powered drone fighters. Vasas on Mars revealed themselves firing gravitational disruption beams that tore Meridian ships apart at the atomic level. Admiral Venor watched in horror as his mighty fleet began to crumble their weapons. They're using principles we've never seen before. How could they have developed this technology in secret? The answer, of course, was human. Ingenuity combined with decades of preparation. The quantum technology reverse-engineered from the crashed probe had been just the beginning. Human scientists had taken those principles and developed them in directions the Meridians had never imagined. "We're not just using your technology," Sarah murmured as she watched the battle unfold. "We've surpassed it." The pride of Empire shuddered as another quantum torpedo struck home. "We must retreat. V for ordered all ships emergency hyperspace jump." But even retreat wasn't as simple as the Meridians expected. Earth's quantum mesh grid had created localized distortions in space-time, making hyperspace calculations dangerously unreliable. Ships that attempted to jump found themselves torn apart or flung off course. "Your attention, please." Sarah's voice broadcast across all frequencies translated perfectly into Meridian language. "Your fleet is surrounded and outgunned. Your hyperspace capabilities have been neutralized. We suggest you consider surrender." In the silence that followed, the Meridian admiral stared at the tactical display in disbelief. His fleet was already destroyed or disabled. The humans' weapons struck with impossible precision. Their defenses proved impenetrable to Meridian technology, and their tactics demonstrated added a level of coordination that shouldn't have been possible. How he transmitted back: "You were primitive. We saw your technology level. You saw what we wanted you to see." Sarah replied, "Humanity learned long ago that appearing weak while being strong was the greatest tactical advantage of all." As the battle entered its final phase, the true extent of humanity's preparation became clear. This wasn't just a defensive victory. It was a complete reversal of everything the Meridians thought they knew about human civilization. The storm had broken, but it wasn't the storm the Meridians had expected. Instead of crushing a primitive civilization, they had awakened a technological giant that had been waiting patiently in the shadows. Preparing for this very moment continued in Part 4. Counterattack. In the aftermath of the initial battle, Earth's orbital space was littered with the crystalline debris of Meridian warships. The pride of Empire, once the magnificent flagship of the invasion fleet, now drifted powerless, surrounded by human vessels that seemed to fade in and out of sensor range at will. Dr. Sarah Hand stood on the bridge of the Earthship, Prometheus, humanity's most advanced vessel. Watching as rescue pods were collected from the disbulged Meridian ships, the Prometheus represented everything humanity had achieved in secret: a perfect fusion of reverse engineer alien technology and human innovation. Status report. She commanded, her voice calm despite the historic nature of the moment. 70% of the Meridian fleet has been neutralized. Her tactical officer reported the remaining vessels are trapped by our quantum mesh grid. We're detecting multiple distress calls being broadcast toward Meridian space. Sarah nodded. Those distress calls were exactly what she had been waiting for. Begin phase to deploy the Genesis protocol throughout the solar system. Hidden quantum arrays activated these. Devices carefully positioned over decades began transmitting signals that propagated through subspace at speeds the Meridians have thought impossible. The messages reached Earth's secretly established outposts in nearby star systems, triggering the next phase of humanity's long-term strategy. Admiral Venor, now a prisoner on his own bridge, watched in growing horror as his tactical display showed new human fleets emerging in systems that should have been secure, Meridian territory. How far does your influence extend, would you like to see? Sarah asked, stepping onto the Pride of Empire's bridge. She gestured, and a holographic display materialized, showing the true extent of human preparation, secret bases in asteroid BS automated manufacturing facilities, hidden in gas giant atmospheres, quantum communication relays disguised as natural phenomena. Humanity's reach extended far beyond what anyone had suspected while you watched our public space program launch chemical rockets. Sarah explained our real ships were exploring the galaxy. While you monitored our primitive satellites, our quantum probes were mapping your empire. We've been preparing for this moment for 50 years. The Meridian Admiral's crystalline skin had lost its luster. Why maintain such deception? Why not simply announce your presence to the galaxy? Sarah's expression remained neutral because humanity learned from our own history when technologically advanced civilizations encounter less developed ones. The results are rarely beneficial for the latter we chose to advance in. Secret to be ready when the galaxy finally noticed us on quantum-encrypted channels, reports were coming in from across Meridian space. Earth's hidden fleets were systematically neutralizing military installations in shipyards, but they weren't destroying them. Instead, human ships were using precisely calibrated quantum fields to disable Meridian technology while leaving infrastructure intact. You're not seeking revenge, Venter. Realized watching the tactical displays, this isn't about destruction. No, Sarah confirmed. This is about survival and establishing a new balance of power. Power. Humanity has no interest in empire building or subjugation. We simply refuse to be subjugated ourselves. The human counteroffensive moved with precision and purpose. Quantum drives allowed their ships to appear seemingly at will throughout Meridian space. Their weapons could disable rather than destroy their defense systems, rendered Meridian technology nearly useless, and their tactical AI systems coordinated movements with impossible precision. But it was the psychological impact that proved most devastating to Meridian morale. The revelation that a supposedly primitive species had not only matched but surpassed their technology, shattered centuries of Meridian superiority, the empire that had fought itself. Invincible found itself helpless against an enemy they had grievously underestimated in the Meridian capital. The Imperial Council watched in stunned silence as reports flooded in their mighty empire, which had dominated this sector of the galaxy for millennia, had been outmaneuvered by a species they had dismissed as primitives. The humans hadn't just defeated their fleet. They had revealed themselves as a technological superpower that had been hiding in plain sight back on the Prometheus. Sarah reviewed the latest strategic updates. Earth's quantum mesh technology was being deployed throughout Meridian space, creating a network that could detect and counter any attempted military response. The message to the galaxy was clear: humanity would not be conquered, but neither would they become conquerors. What happens now? For asked, his voice carrying the weight of his people's shattered confidence. Sarah turned to him, her expression softening slightly. Now we negotiate as equals. Humanity is ready to share some of our advancements to help establish a more balanced and peaceful galaxy. But first, your empire needs to understand that the age of conquest is over. The counteroffensive had achieved its objectives without resorting to wholesale destruction. Humanity had demonstrated both its power and its restraint, setting the stage for a fundamental shift in galactic politics. The species that had been dismissed as primitive had revealed itself to be anything but, and the galaxy would never be the same. Continued in Part 5, A New Dawn. 1 year after the failed invasion of Earth, the galactic IC landscape had changed dramatically. The Great Hall of the newly established Galactic Concordat buzzed with activity as representatives from dozens of species gathered for the historic First General Assembly at the center of it all stood Dr. Sahan, now Earth's primary representative to the interstellar community. The Meridian Empire's former palace had been transformed into a center for diplomatic cooperation, where once crystalline thrones had dominated, now stood circular discussion, chambers designed for equality. The message was clear. The age of imperial dominance had given way to an era of collaboration. The human approach to technological advancement was unprecedented, admitted Trello. The former ambassador, now serving as the Meridian representative, his once proud bearing had been replaced by a more measured demeanor in our arrogance. We assumed technological progress followed a predictable path. We were wrong. Sarah stood at the central podium, addressing the assembled representatives. Earth's emergence onto the galactic stage was not what anyone expected. Including us, we chose secrecy not out of fear, but out of prudence. Now we choose openness, not out of pride, but out of hope. The changes rippling through galactic society were profound. Humanity's quantum mesh technology had been selectively shared, creating a defensive network that made large-scale military aggression virtually impossible. The age of imperial expansion had effectively ended, replaced by a new era of technological and cultural exchange. But perhaps the most significant change was philosophical. The revelation of humanity's hidden advancement had forced many species to confront their own prejudices and assumptions. The concept of primitive versus advanced civilizations had been appended. The greatest lesson, Sarah continued, is that progress doesn't follow a single path. While the Meridian Empire focused on perfecting their crystalline technology, humanity explored quantum mechanics. While others reached for the stars in gleaming ships we built in secret and learned from every species we encountered in Earth orbit, the facade of primitive technology had been dropped. The quantum mesh network was now visible, its advanced nodes maintaining peace through deterrence rather than secrecy. Human ships openly displayed their capabilities, serving as a reminder of the futility of military aggression. Admiral Venor, now serving as a military liaison to the Concordat, watched the joint training exercise between human and Meridian ships. Your species has changed everything, he observes to Sarah, not through conquest, but through preparation and restraint. Humanity learned from our own history. Sarah replied, watching the ships maneuver in formation every time a technologically advanced society encountered a less developed one on Earth. The results were devastating. For the latter, we were determined not to let that happen to us. The exercise demonstrated the new reality. Human quantum technology worked alongside Meridian crystalline systems, each complementing the others. Strengths the former empire's military forces were being reposed for defense and peaceful exploration there, centuries of experience finding new purpose in cooperative ventures in research centers across Earth, and former Meridian space scientists from both species worked together exploring new technological frontiers. The combination of human innovation and Meridian experience led to breakthroughs that neither species could have achieved alone. We never wanted to be conquerors. Sarah explained to a group of young diplomats from various species, we wanted to be ready to defend ourselves, ready to negotiate as equals, and ready to contribute to a better galaxy. The human approach had created a new model for emerging civilizations. Several younger spacefaring species had already begun establishing diplomatic relations with Earth, seeking guidance on balanced technological development and peaceful integration into the galactic community. As the assembly session concluded, Sarah stood with representatives from a dozen species watching the Earth rise over the horizon of their host planet. The view was no longer one of potential conquest or defense, but of shared opportunity and collaborative potential. The stars have always called to us, she reflected. But it was never about reaching them first or claiming them for ourselves. It was about being ready to join a larger community on our own terms. The galaxy was entering a new age. The revelation of human man's hidden strength had broken cycles of conquest and subjugation that had persisted for millennia. In their place grew something new. The coalition of species united, not by force or fear, but by mutual respect, and shared aspirations as night fell on the conquered At's capital. The crystalline spires of the former imperial palace shimmered with a different light. Where once they had represented the power of empire, they now stood as monuments to change, to the moment when humanity's patient preparation had transformed not just their own future, but the future of all spacefaring species. The dawn of this new era had come not with the thunder of conquest, but with the quiet revelation of strength held in reserve. Humanity had changed the galaxy, not by following the expected path, but by charting their own course through the stars, the end.